Welcome back to the Band Guide, where we use GarageBand to create professional sounding music. I'm your band guy, Colin, and today I want to talk to you about maybe the most important step in the music making process. Actually finishing your mix. So you can share it with the world, so you can start on something new, or just because it feels bad to have a billion unfinished projects piling up in the background. And if you're anything like me, finishing might be the hardest part for you. It's so easy to get in your head and doubt every decision. Plus, how do you know when it's actually done? It feels like there are endless possibilities that can be tweaked, so when is it done? So today I want to share with you the exact system that I follow to complete my mixes. I love this system for two reasons. One, it gives me a methodical approach to follow to get out of my head, beat the nerves, and also have a clearly defined ending. And then two, it ensures my mix will sound as good as I can get it to on multiple systems. But before we get into it, I want to specify that this is after I have recorded all the parts and followed a methodical mixing approach like my 6-step mixing process. If you feel hung up and stuck in the mixing process in general, then definitely grab my 6-step checklist to a pro mix in GarageBand from the link below. It's completely free. This guide walks through the 6 steps that all pro mixes have and exactly how to do them inside GarageBand. So be sure to grab that, and let's jump into talking about my mix finishing process. So once you've finished all 6 steps of the mixing process, the first thing you need to do is add a limiter on your master track. You can get to that by hitting B to bring up a smart window on any track, and then you can go over to master. And then here we can just add in under dynamics, a limiter. Now I've done a whole video explaining exactly how to set this. I'll link to that above, so be sure to check that out. But this just allows you to bring a little more volume to your mix, so it's not gonna be drastically quieter when you're listening to it on other systems outside of GarageBand. Then you need to actually export your song, take it outside of GarageBand. You just wanna go up here to share, export song to disk, and I like to have the export cycle region selected. And for something like this, I'm fine with just an MP3. I can assess what I need to assess with an MP3 quality. When I export it out for the final version to upload to Spotify or wherever, then you want to do a WAV. But for this, an MP3 is totally fine. The export cycle area will give you only the area inside your selected cycle region. So you can set that to B from the very beginning of your mix to the very end and not have any extra sound at the beginning or end of your mix. So really helpful. Okay, now that you've exported this version out, it's time to take it and listen to it on different systems. I recommend any systems where you usually listen to music, whether it be through your TV, a Bluetooth speaker, your AirPods, a car, anywhere that you listen to music. And before you start listening to it on those systems, start by listening to a reference track, a professionally mixed track that's somewhat similar. So if you're working on a folky acoustic song, pick a folky acoustic song you like. And you want to use this song to calibrate your ears. It's important to think of this as referencing, not comparing. Comparison is the thief of joy. It's okay if it's different, but what can you learn from it? So once you've listened to this reference mix, switch over to your mix and listen to the EQ balance and the volume balance of key elements like your vocals and your guitars and your kick and snare. Does this mix have more low end than your mix? Does the vocal stand out a little bit more than your mix? And then the key here is to go through and make very specific mix notes. So I'll pull up my notes here. If you have an iPhone, you can just make these notes on your iPhone, and then when you get back on your computer, they can be in your notes on your computer as well. That's the way I like to do it. And they also have these nifty little check boxes, so you can just check them off once you're done. And then after you've gone through on a couple different systems, you've made notes. One, notice, are things different on different systems? So for example, if you like to reference on your TV probably doesn't have as much low end as your car speakers do, for example. So you might need more low end on your TV or think you need more low end on your TV, but it sounds great in your car. You want to think through this because different systems sound different. That's why a reference track is really important, checking another mix before you actually listen to your mix, because that TV speaker system might just not have as much low end. So it might not be that your mix needs more low end, but just that the TV doesn't have as much low end. And that's totally fine. That's why it's important to reference on at least 2 systems, at least 2 different areas, and then see if your mix notes kind of hang through. And then also to compare to a reference track, because if the reference track also doesn't seem to have much bass on the TV, then you know that it's okay that your mix doesn't have much bass on the TV. So when you make these mix notes, get really specific. So vocal reverb up 2 to 5 decibels. A decibel is a measure of the volume. So you can see here on this bass here, there's the 3.2 dB. So you should start to get a sense of how much you want to be bringing things up in your mix when you're making your mix notes. You'll get comfortable with this, familiar with this over time, and you'll want to ultimately determine how much you're actually doing inside the mix. But these specific notes are the focus. And then once you've created these notes after listening on a couple different systems, determining what makes the most sense, then go through your mix and methodically tick them off. So I just go through one by one and only focus on these notes. This protects me from just endlessly tweaking everything because I'm just not really sure why it's not sounding the way I want it to or whatever. I have a specific set of notes that I know if I follow is going to help my final mix. So for example, more low mid on the acoustic. So in this case, I said that I could bring that out by turning up this ribbon mic. So I've already done automation, so I have to use the volume here on the automation to turn up. So I'll just select all my automation on this track, or I can just, in this case, select this one bar, and I'll turn this up just a little bit. You can see down here in the bottom right corner, right under my cursor, it shows 2.9 dB. So I know I want to turn this up because it was around 3. I want to try turning it up, let's say, around 2. And then let's listen to a little bit of this acoustic. Do a little more. See, that's a lot better. It's a lot more low mid in that acoustic guitar. So now I've accomplished that. Very simple. And I'm not going to get distracted trying to do a billion things. So I'll tick that off. And then let's try turning this vocal reverb up 2.5 or 2 to 5 decibels. So we have the Vox plate here that we set in another video. And I'm just going to select all this automation. And here I'm going to bring it up. So here I can see it's 21 decibels. Let's start at 19, somewhere around 19, and see if that's close to the way I want this vocal reverb to sound. She was too afraid to go. She came to work on a short-term visa. I might continue to tweak that a little bit. You know, I'm going to keep playing with these things. And I also had a second note in here, try longer reverb on vocals. So, okay, maybe I'll go in here and I'll go to my track. Let's find the space delay. Let's try a longer delay on this vocal. Let's see, 2.3 nice plate. That's one I often like on vocals. And I'll see if I like this vocal reverb better. She never meant to leave with her heart in peace. Pieces. We'll play around with that. We'll see if we like that better. So the big thing here is the methodical approach to going through these notes, not just tweaking everything, not just getting caught up in whatever your ears are drawn to in the moment while you're sitting in front of your mix, but going through the notes that you made that you know you want to tweak based on comparing it on other systems. And then I'll finish going through this list. I'll put the limiter back on, I'll export this mix out, I'll take it out to my car and listen on my AirPods. If I hear anything, I'll make very specific mix notes one more time. Now, the key here is to only let yourself do this 3 times. At some point, you're just tweaking things to tweak things and you're not necessarily improving them. By going through the system, you're naturally going to improve your mix as long as you stay focused, stay zoned in on the things that you're hearing that you want to slightly tweak or change on other systems, and perfecting those. You'll improve your mix a little bit. It will sound better in other systems. You can be confident in that. And you can be confident it will sound better in multiple other systems. And it's going to sound closer to a reference track because you've kind of cued your ears into what a reference track sounds like. And then because you limit yourself to not doing this more than 3 times, you can be done after 3 times. And you know with a fair amount of confidence that this mix is actually done. You're not just tweaking a tweak. You've actually completed this mix. You've made it sound great. And that is ultimately the goal. And I just want to highlight here, we're not saying perfect because there's no such thing as a perfect mix. There's a done mix. A done mix is the best thing that you can have. It's the closest thing to perfect that you'll ever have. But going through these steps makes you confident that you did the best that you could do in this moment. And that is perfect in my mind. So again, if you're hung up just on the mixing process in general, you don't feel like you can get your mix to a final point in the mixing process, then start by downloading my 6-step checklist to a pro mix in GarageBand and going through that methodically and finishing all 6 steps. That gives you your first baseline. That's when I start actually doing these revisions and references, taking it to other systems. So grab that, go through those 6 steps, finish your mix, and then go through this mix revision process to know that it's done, know that it's going to sound good on other systems. Do it no more than than 3 times, and then be done. Master your song, upload it to SoundCloud, Spotify, wherever you want to share your music, and then move on to another song. And when you start on that other song, you get to take everything that you learn from this experience into that experience. You start a whole step up on the ladder, a whole rung up on the ladder, which is awesome. This is how you grow. This is how you get better. This is how you get more confident and comfortable in the recording and mixing process. So be sure to grab that 6-step checklist to a pro mix in GarageBand. Before we go, I want to hear from you. What is your mix revision process? Do you have kind of a methodical approach that you follow? Do you always reference it on any specific systems? Let me know in the comments below. I'm always curious to hear how other people approach these things. If this video is helpful, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next week with another video.